Hey everyone, my name is Kevin, and this might come as a surprise to you, but I like content. I mean, what can I say? I love a good video. No meal has completed my house without a 4-hour-long video essay on why the Star Wars hotel failed. It's a real video, by the way. I highly recommend it. But in all honesty, ever since YouTube came out, I was there watching. And I mean that literally. I have been on YouTube watching videos on it for basically as long as it's existed. Oh, what's that? You think you're OG because you like Charlie Bit My Finger and Chocolate Rain? Do not cite the deep magic to me, which I was there when it was written. Yeah, back in the day, my favorite video on YouTube was me at the zoo because it was the only video on the site, bitch. We are not the same. And as someone who's been on YouTube for so long enough to have seen all of its different eras across one very cursed timeline, I have some very strong opinions on which eras were good and which eras were bad. Late 2000s independent content creator YouTube? Good. YouTube was so new, it was basically the Wild West at that point. Late 2010s edgy YouTube? In hindsight, kind of bad. It had some people saying some pretty wild openly in public. Early 2010s sketch comedy and Let's Play era YouTube? Fantastic. The partner program was new and quality content was starting to emerge on YouTube. COVID quarantine era YouTube, we don't talk about that one. Overall, YouTube has had its ups and downs over the years, but until recently, I had nearly forgotten about arguably its worst era ever, the vlogger era of 2017, curated in large part by the subject of this video, a man named Logan Paul. Now, if you don't know who Logan Paul is, he was, and still is, I guess, a YouTuber that got his start on Vine, who transitioned to YouTube after Vine's collapse. And on YouTube, he was known for a genre of content that came to be known as daily vlogging. In case you couldn't tell, that's where you upload a vlog every single day. I mean, seriously, pay attention. Now, Logan Paul was definitely not the first to do daily vlogging, as it was already an established genre, thanks to the likes of people like Shay Carl or Casey Neistat, or, you know, the British ones, who had already stumbled upon that format and arguably done it a lot better. But despite all of those who'd come before him, there was something different about Logan Paul's vlogs, in that they were extremely fast-paced, high-energy, and kind of irresponsible, now that I think about it.
Are the cops coming? Is that a fact?
Basically, they were hyper-targeted towards, like, tweens and kids that have the attention spans of infant rodents. Needless to say, in 2017, he saw a vast amount of growth due to his personality and his style of content, growing faster in a shorter amount of time than basically anyone else on the platform at the time. A trajectory that, unfortunately, resulted in one of the biggest falls from grace I have personally witnessed online to this day. But don't worry, we are going to get to that. In fact, what inspired this video was in large part this clip from his podcast that I happened to see on Twitter.
I just came back from Japan last week.
Great place.
Like,
Must be nice.
It was really nice.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys had fun.
We had a blast.
Yeah.
We've been hoping to go there. For some
You guys
reason
haven't
we
been
have.
to Japan?
Well,
You've never been? There's a great.
I have prior obligations.
When I saw this clip, something kind of just clicked in my brain, and I saw like 2017 YouTube just like start flashing before my eyes in a sort of brain blast-esque moment. Because I'd kind of forgotten about this era of YouTube, and when I saw this clip, I remembered like, oh yeah, like that was crazy. Like, it's been so long since then, and Logan Paul has had so many rebrands and so many more controversies that this has almost become a completely separate identity in my head than this. Like, I've just seen so much from him in the last couple of years. The crypto scamming, the lawsuit surrounding his sports drink, the alleged animal abuse. My God, this guy's a piece of shit. That I kind of forgot that in 2017, this dude was inescapable. He was on top of the world as far as online engagement goes. And for those of you watching who weren't around at the time, when I say inescapable, I mean inescapable. And not just because he had so many fans and supporters, but also the fact that he was so controversial that he was all anyone could talk about ever, and for good reason too. You see, like I mentioned, in 2017, YouTube underwent a shift as the app Vine had recently been shut down, and we saw a mass migration of creators from Vine to platforms like YouTube. And with that came an influx of content that was more suited to an audience that was used to shorter form content. And to make room for the new viewers with shorter attention spans, fans, the months following that Viner invasion saw a rapid shift from a focus on more traditional YouTuber creative content to lazy, fast-paced, annoying daily vlogs that took no time to make and were simply there to grab attention and retain viewership. And among the Viners that transitioned to YouTube in that time, there's perhaps not a more notorious example than Logan Paul, as well as his brother Jake, but that's a whole nother video. Logan Paul was a pioneer of a very specific type of content that dominated the platform in the late 2010s, which was daily vlogs, but make it as annoying as possible. You see, the meta on YouTube at this time, due largely to the Paul brothers and their content, was basically to just post as frequently as possible and to make it as shocking and spectacular as possible, which meant vlogging your everyday life, but shoehorning in as much shock and awe into it as possible, no matter how dangerous, inconsiderate, or contrived it comes across as.
Yo, are you good, bro? Cause I don't think you good, bro. That's my job.
Did that make you feel better? Because that was so stupid of you.
The Paul brothers, but more specifically Logan, pretty much invented and mastered the art of YouTube daily vlogs meant for kids, with each day consisting of so much artificially inserted spectacle that many people couldn't help but watch. And what this created is the need for constant one-upping, right? For each video to be more entertaining and jaw-dropping than the last. A tendency which definitely worked out fine for everyone and definitely didn't end in complete disaster.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
That's right. As it turns out, sacrificing your personal relationships, your reputation, and your moral character, all for YouTube content, is actually a really good way to end up as a villain, actually. And I say that because that's exactly what happened. Logan Paul fell victim to a classic case of content brain. In fact, he had one of the most severe cases I think I've ever seen.
Hey, good morning, Logan. What's poppin'? We are back with my boss.
Logan, I need you to stop with the plates. Jesus fucking Christ. It's really clear from his content during 2017 that he didn't care about anything else besides his videos and creating interesting moments in them, to the point where he was largely unaware of, or at the very least apathetic to, his environment and society, and didn't really seem to care how his antics on camera affected those around him. And that's what made him so controversial, right? That's why nobody could stop talking about him. Because to his fans, he's a fun, high-energy guy that likes to share his crazy life with his audience. But from the outside looking in, he's very clearly just a 20-something kid who was way too lost in the sauce to see that his behavior was unacceptable. I mean, he was so desperate to create moments in each and every one of his daily videos that he would harass people, cause public disturbances, and do all other kinds of shit that he would get hate for online. And it was because of this that Logan would soon discover that once you've crossed that line, once you've let the content consume your life, you inevitably fly a little too close to the sun. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we can unpack what went wrong to lead to that moment in internet history, we need to take a look at the content that led up to it. So I want to do something different for today's video. I want to take a look at Logan Paul's vlogs from this era and see if we can't try to figure out what the fuck was going on there. Why did this one dude have the internet in such a chokehold, and how did that lead to the worst moment of his career? And how was it able to go on for so long? But before we get to that, I want to quickly just shout out the sponsor of today's video, you. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever been watching your favorite YouTuber and thought to yourself, man, I really wish that I could give this person my hard-earned dollars, but there's just no proper avenue to do so. I want nothing more than to spend what little wages I have on people who make content that I can already watch for free? Hi, my name is Kevin, and on behalf of the Kevin F YouTube channel, we are proud to announce the launch of our very own Patreon page, where you have the opportunity to send me your money. Now, with this, dude, why would our audience consider paying us actual real money? Don't we need, like, you know, something to offer? I mean, if our videos are already on YouTube for free, why would they pay us? What additional value are we really adding that's worth paying for, you know? I didn't think of that. It's fine, just let me handle this. So yeah, we have a Patreon now. It launches today. Let me explain to you how it's going to work. First of all, nothing's going to change with the YouTube channel. There's still going to be a long-form video every other Monday on the channel at 3 p.m. Eastern as usual. That is an upload once every 2 weeks here for free, guaranteed. However, if you really like the channel and you want to support it, the best way to do that is through the Patreon, where there are 4 tiers at varying levels of rewards. At tier 1, you'll get early access to my videos, maybe a day or two in advance, as well as the uncensored versions of my uploads. So if you want to hear me say stuff like and that's the tier for you. Also, your name will appear in text at the end of all my videos. At tier 2, you'll get access to all the previous benefits, as well as access to the bonus content that I'm calling Yap videos. These are looser, more free-form videos where I do a stream of consciousness rant on a topic, rather than like a scripted, highly edited, thought-out full video. Think of it like a 10-ish minute-long podcast. In fact, there's already one uploaded right now to the Patreon that you can watch right now. These will also be uploaded every other Monday, but the week opposite the one that I upload to YouTube. So one week is YouTube, the other is Patreon, and so on. So that's one video per week. At tier 3, you'll get access to all the previous tier benefits, plus you can vote on the topic of the bi-weekly Yap videos. Once there are enough of you in this tier, I'll be putting up like polls that you guys can vote on for the topic of each video. Also, I'll say your name at the end of each video, and your name will appear in like bigger text on the screen. At tier 4, you mostly just get bragging rights. Basically, you have the knowledge that you're both my strongest supporter as well as out of your mind insane. I don't expect any of you guys to sign up for this tier, but if you do, I'll send you a video to personally thank you, but only if you want to. I can see why you wouldn't want that, so just let me know. And yeah, that's all the tiers. So if you're interested in signing up, my handle is patreon.com/opinioneightyt. That's patreon.com/opinioneightyt. Link in the description. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much, and on with the video. Since we mentioned Logan's 2017 trip to Japan as the inspiration for this video, I thought that would be a good place to start. These vlogs he did in Japan really encapsulate, I think, the worst aspects of what his vlogs were like before the big incident. They showcase him being disrespectful to the culture, annoying to strangers, and harassing service workers. Just the ultimate trifecta of huge douche behavior. Now, unfortunately, due to circumstances that were entirely within his control, that's right, it's all his fault, all of the vlogs from his trip to Japan have been deleted from his channel. But don't worry, guys, I've done some hacking, some R&D, a little bit of reconnaissance, and was able to recover some of the footage from these videos. And by that, I mean looking up Logan Paul Japan on YouTube and clicking the first thing that comes up. So let's check it out, shall we?
I just gotta be careful to not like disrespect the culture, because Logan, Japan is all about the respect. So I gotta take my chotch levels and bring them down.
Oh, that's good. So he does seem to have some understanding of the culture of Japan and what kind of things are frowned upon. Maybe he'll be okay. Perhaps I judged him too harshly.
So I gotta take my chotch levels and bring them down.
Nope, no, yeah, no, definitely not.
How far can we take this?
Dude, what gets me about this is the degeneracy is kind of layered in this video, right? So there's the obvious bit that this is incredibly disrespectful, right? You're being a public nuisance in a place where that sort of thing is very frowned upon. You know, the whole ignorant, dumb American tourist we've all seen before. But there's another element to this that makes it even more obscene and bewildering to me, which is the knowing aspect, right? The deliberate nature by which he does these things. Like, he very clearly says right in the beginning, hey, let's make sure we're respectful here because we're in a place where that's a high cultural value. And then he proceeds to immediately and intentionally break those cultural rules.
Japan is all about the respect.
12 seconds later.
Respect.
He kind of uses that upfront acknowledgement of Japanese culture as a signal to his audience that he intends to disregard it.
How far can we take this?
Like, there's just something to me that's astonishing and almost funny about a deliberate cultural transgression preceded by a full acknowledgement that that is what you intend to do. Just a blatant declaration that your sole purpose for being there is to be disrespectful and annoying. You kind of have to respect it in a weird way, right? Because most of the time these people maintain plausible deniability, right? A lot of these content creators and vloggers go to Japan, cause a scene, or act like a nuisance, and then say, sorry, I didn't know about the culture, I had no idea, I'm sorry. Not Logan. He is straight up in there saying, yes, I am aware of the cultural boundaries, and no, I will not respect them. Thank you for your time. It's kind of a Sigma move, to be honest.
What happened? What did he do?
No! I'm sorry, the filming.
Oh, it's the film. Oh, it's the vlog. You know how it is in Japan. They're all about the respect. Now realizing why they tried to arrest me last year. It's the same shit.
Guys, I'm starting to realize why I got arrested last time I was here. I think it has something to do with my repeating pattern of reckless behavior characterized by a lack of respect for cultural and legal boundaries, as well as a tendency to belittle and take advantage of every single person and place I come into contact with. I don't know, but I think it's that. Also, again, I love the repeated acknowledgement of the respect traditions in Japan as he just consistently violates them over and over. It's genuinely beyond the scope of satire. And not to keep harping on it, but I really think that encapsulates what most of Logan Paul's content is like, right? Since he acknowledges that respect culture in Japan is a thing, that means he's doing all of this with that in mind, right? He observes and acknowledges the fact that Japan's culture is a certain way, and instead of using that knowledge to be more respectful and assimilate to it better, he uses it for the opposite, because he knows breaking those rules will be more entertaining for his dumb idiot vlog for dumb idiots.
Oh, don't worry about me, I'm just a vlogger. Just getting content. Follow me on Instagram at Logan Paul. LoganPaul.com/shop.
God, I love the fact that so many kids watch this too, dude. Like, a generation of tweens' minds were melted by this type of content. That's awesome. Remember, kids, if something gets you views, then nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if those around you are uncomfortable, or if you're being disrespectful, or even if you get arrested. All that matters is the content. I think I would genuinely rather have a kid that watches Skibbity Toilet than this. I mean, they're both brain-rotting garbage, but at least with the newer stuff, they aren't consistently being bombarded with merch advertisements cleverly disguised as degenerate antics. LoganPaul.com/shop. And the worst part about this too is just it's not funny, dude. Holy sh**. Like, I don't think I've ever seen someone try so hard to be funny and to miss the mark by that much. Because the way I read this, right, the joke is, hey guys, look how much of a prick I'm able to be to strangers. Is that anything? Guys, look, I'm harassing people on the street and getting naked in public. Now make sure to get your parents' credit card and buy some merch, okay?
The Game Boy Color. Ah! Excuse me, sir. The game seems to be malfunctioning. Mucho broken, though. Mucho broken, though.
What the fuck? Excuse me, sir. I know you're just minding your own business and just trying to do your job, but do you mind if I'm racist to you for a second? Do you mind if I waste your time with this broken game that I just smashed on the ground? Thanks, bro. Now, can you say into the camera, LoganPaul.com/shop?
Don't mind me. Dumb American, pants coming down.
Okay, that's enough of that. I think I have seen enough of that. Thank you. So I think if these vlogs tell us anything at all, I think they make it clear that this whole fall from grace at the end of 2017 was kind of an inevitability and the culmination of a bunch of different aspects of his content. Since the content was literally daily and he'd cultivated an audience that came to expect a certain level of high-octane, energetic antics on such a consistent basis, it was very easy for him to get so caught up in the grind for content that he lost touch with what's actually important and how his behavior affects not only those around him, but also the online community as a whole. I remember around that time in like 2017, he would make headlines on the internet every couple of months for yet another dangerous or irresponsible thing he did in his vlog. It seemed like every video was intended as a one-up of the last, with the events of each vlog becoming increasingly insane for the enjoyment of his audience. And I think that's part of what made him such a cultural phenomenon, right? Because at this point in time, even his biggest critics couldn't look away from what everyone knew was going to end in disaster. Everyone was watching and waiting for the other shoe to drop, and eventually it did. On December 31st, 2017, Logan Paul uploaded his last vlog of the year, as not only the culmination to a series of vlogs documenting his aforementioned trip to Japan, but also as kind of the culmination of the most successful year of his life thus far. The original plan for this vlog was ostensibly to set up camp overnight in the Aokigahara Forest, colloquially known as the Suicide Forest, and make content surrounding how haunted it is. And to be honest, I think even that plan would have been dumb and kind of insensitive on its own. Like, there are supposedly ghosts there because of the country's suicide epidemic. Not exactly a fun, light-hearted content idea on its face. But it didn't matter, because that plan was quickly thrown to the wayside following what happened upon their arrival. Shortly after entering the forest, only 100 yards from the parking lot, according to Logan, they discovered a real deceased person who had, from the looks of it, unfortunately taken his own life. Now, obviously, what any decent person would do in this situation is stop filming, call the authorities, and respectfully leave that part out of whatever video you're making. But Logan did the exact opposite. Not only did he continue to film for the content, but he approached the body, filmed it up close, and kept that in his vlog, all while cracking jokes about the situation before leaving the area. Now, obviously, this is despicable and in very poor taste, especially for someone with such a young audience. I think it really highlights a lot of the blind spots that Logan and his team have with his content and how it was perceived, right? Because keep in mind, in order for this to be uploaded, Logan Paul had to review the footage, edit it together, export it, and publish it to YouTube, and at no point in any of those multiple steps did he ever once think about whether or not it was appropriate. He's clear not only from the situation in general, but also how he's acting in the video, that never once did he even think what he was doing was disrespectful in any way. It simply never occurred to him or his team, and it shows. I mean, look at them in that video. They seem almost gleeful that this happened and that they caught it on camera.
We found a dead body.
They think they're about to go viral. They're practically giddy with excitement. And you can see it in the intro of the video too. He says things like, "Buckle the f*** up," and "This has never happened to another YouTuber before."
This has never, hopefully, happened to anyone on YouTube ever. Buckle the f*** up.
He really thinks he has a banger video loaded in the chamber for his audience. He didn't think for a second how it would possibly come off as insensitive, because he literally only cares about what will get him the most views. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with Logan Paul and his content. Like I said before, I think his style of content, the high energy, attention grabbing daily vlogs, always inevitably trend towards tragic events like this. People who make this content seem to always become so focused on whether or not something is entertaining that they lose track of whether or not something is acceptable or moral. We saw it with Logan Paul, we saw it with David Dobrik, and now we're seeing it again with Mr. Beast. An affinity for and tendency towards tunnel vision, where the only thing that matters is entertainment, until it's too late. Because remember, the fallout from this video was monumental. To this day, I can't think of many bigger controversies in internet history. He lost sponsorships, brand deals, important opportunities, his reputation, and was most notably dropped from Google Preferred, now called YouTube Select, which is a manually curated list of channels on YouTube that get first pick from advertisers. And Logan Paul was dropped from this, severely impacting his ability to make money from ads on YouTube. In fact, the Logan Paul Forest incident was largely responsible for YouTube tightening their policies on what videos were eligible for the program, declaring that only advertiser-friendly content would be eligible, whatever that means. Needless to say, that video and the fallout that resulted from it was a historic fall from a meteoric rise. It was the crash landing that followed the greatest heights yet achieved on YouTube, and was also the culmination of everything that he had set forth with his vlogging series since the beginning. From the very start of his vlogs, it was clear that he was different from everyone else doing it, not only in that he had more views and growth than anyone else at the time, but also that there was something different in quality about his videos. He was willing to do crazier stunts, go crazier places, buy crazier things, and simply act crazier. And a lot of the success he had early on was because of the fact that his life, because keep in mind, these are daily vlogs, was just more interesting. And that was by design. Logan Paul's image, his whole brand, was about what he called being a maverick.
It's illegal! It's illegal!
guys. You're telling me it's illegal. That's the Maverick spirit. I say it every day. Push yourself to do things that no one else is doing, and great things will happen.
At some point in nearly all of his videos, he repeats that he and his fan base are mavericks, which, if I'm to interpret his vague motivational jargon here, is a lifestyle centered around being independent, confident, and bold, you know, a leader rather than a follower, a lifestyle which Logan feels his content represents. And I can kind of get down with that message. I mean, I think independence and confidence are important attributes to have, especially for young people, but unfortunately with Logan, that Maverick brand in practice ended up being less so about independence and confidence and more about convincing yourself that you're the main character wherever you go and that nobody else matters. It was more of a justifying mechanism for his childish antics and inconsiderate behavior than it was an actual motivational mantra meant to inspire his audience. You see it all the time in his vlogs. He does something stupid or insensitive, and upon realizing people are upset with him, he goes, we're just Mavericks, baby, that's what we do, with no regard for anyone but his viewers.
That's the Maverick spirit. I say it every day.
To Logan Paul, being a Maverick wasn't about self-actualizing and becoming the best version of yourself. It was about legitimizing and validating the worst version of yourself. No, you don't need to put in the work to become good. You're already good, and if the world doesn't like it, that's their problem. And I think this is largely what caused his downfall in the end too, because a lot of the time, the mentality a content creator has is what does them in, and is what decides whether they have staying power or not. And with Logan Paul, he managed to make selfishness and ignorance into a multi-million-dollar brand with the help of his audience of 12-year-olds and at the expense of everyone around him.
It took that for me to realize that what I was doing was so f***ing wrong, in that social media was creating a person that was just not me. My only motivator was views. I wanted views, because views equated to money, views equated to subscribers, which equated to success. And I started to skew the person that was Logan Paul. Like that kid that was on Vine, Logan, was now becoming this influencer who all he cared about was making the most noise that he could.
And it's sad too, because it's not as if there weren't warning signs over and over and over in his content that he would inevitably do something irrevocably stupid, right? Everyone knew what was gonna happen, including YouTube. They just didn't intervene until it was too late. You see, YouTube as a platform has the problem that a lot of user-based media corporations have, which is how they deal with problematic content on their platform. Logan Paul was and still is a controversial figure, but controversy is also, to a large extent, what fuels the business model of YouTube. If something is controversial, that means people are talking about it and watching videos about it, which means YouTube is making money. So naturally, they're consistently forced between two choices. Either intervene and stop the controversy and lose out on that money, or continue to let it fester and infect and subsequently damage the culture of the platform until it eventually blows up in their face. And unfortunately, they seem to choose the latter option nearly every single time. Have you ever seen someone really bad get rightfully canceled online and think to yourself, how was this thing ever even allowed on the platform to begin with? Well, that's why. Because corporations will only ever step in once the situation substantially affects their bottom line, resulting in this dynamic where they can only ever fix things retroactively and never in time to actually stop it from doing harm. The only way to make change on these platforms is for things to inevitably go south. The Suicide Forest video and other scandals like it had to have taken place in order for YouTube to make any adjustments to their policy. After Logan Paul, they changed their advertisement policy. After that weird Spider-Man and Elsa a few years back, they changed how they categorize and regulate children's content. After PewDiePie's scandal, they changed how monetization works. It always takes real-world, tangible harm for any change to happen. So in the end, it wasn't just Logan who flew too close to the sun. It was YouTube too. They knew him, they knew what he was doing, and they knew they were allowing it, and they only intervened once it was too late, once they were forced to. And when I think about that poor man in the forest and his family and how they must feel about it, yeah, I blame Logan, of course. But I also blame the platform that let it happen. I blame the people that saw what he was doing in his vlogs, saw where that was headed, ignored complaints from notable people in that community, and did nothing about it because Logan was too profitable. And it's a shame, because this has happened a few times now since then, and it keeps happening. I can't tell you how many times the writing has been on the wall for certain creators, and they're kind of just allowed to self-destruct and ruin everything for everyone. And it's only going to continue to happen unless we address the core issues. It's not just the creators themselves. It's everyone. It's me, it's you, it's them, it's their communities, their critics, the platforms they're on, and the people who run those platforms. Everyone is responsible. And until we get rid of the incentive structures for making content that inevitably ends in disaster, we are gonna keep running into the same wall headfirst over and over again. Or the platform will just self-destruct and the platform is fucked. I don't know. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video. It really means a lot that you chose to stick around. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like on it and subscribe? I put out videos every 2 weeks where I get my takes on an interesting topic and I make wisecracks about it. We have fun here. And we just launched the Patreon, so if you want to see more of me, if you can't bear to be separated from me for 2 weeks at a time, I'm going to be uploading additional bonus content over there for tiers 2 and up, as well as early access to my uncensored YouTube content for all tiers. So if that sounds cool to you, go ahead and check it out. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. There should be the link to subscribe as well as another video for you to watch somewhere next to my head. And yeah, bye.
Oh, no, I'm a strawberry.
Yo!